was just my makeshift agenda to try to figure out what we needed to cover. There was just an upgrade last night of PLATO. So really, it's going to be, what the heck do I see when I log in now? And what do I need to do? Do you guys remember your login?
Yep.
Tech operation.
It's not working now.
Here we show what's up.
Let me find them. So,
Oh, cool, got it. Awesome, thank you. Right.
what is your each page and then this is your PLATO now? I'm going to change it. You're an account administrator, okay. Save and return.
Bless you.
Okay, now try that.
Yeah, me too.
No, game time, Debbie, what are you doing?
I was sneezing on my hand.
I'm sure I got it.
NKO. What do you say?
Oh, that's true.
I want to touch the mouse and get everybody else there.
So I
Thank
changed
you.
your password to right before, but just, you're in as a program administrator. What building?
Larry, we haven't had any pictures lately. What the heck?
I know, right?
I get a kick out of my, I get a kick out of my,
Tigger,
oh, what is
I
he gonna
know.
have on there now?
I know, right? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, but when a picture comes and needs assistance on, you don't want that.
No, I
That's not a
don't
good
want that.
alternative.
No.
That's just, no, it's like a magic trick. You don't see what's going on.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should work.
So do I hit reset?
Tom and Jerry's a good one. It's not mine though, I swear. I swear that Tom and Jerry's
Tom and Jerry's not good.
not anymore.
Is it Tigger?
It's a good one.
Are you in there?
I should be. I hope I'm the district administrator.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
PJ Parker.
You're right, that's me.
And then I'm going to reset your password.
I'm gonna send me an email.
So if you just type in
PJ Parker.
your account login, now hold on.
Filling it up and start to stretch.
It's SCH, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
SC, mine's SC01.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fix. You want a third? Oh, okay, peanut butter?
Yes, SCH for the one.
I can't sleep. This is gonna be the.
Oh. I'm going to see whatever we need to do.
Linda
I
Watson.
started doing something.
Oh, Jackie, can you do Linda's also Linda Watson?
Yeah.
No, I'll wait for my password.
Watson. L.Y. Watson.
Yep.
And then I'm going to change your password.
Oh, see, that's.
It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 7. Oh, I can't.
It will send you a
You
password.
need to go, that's cool.
Here's my grinder. I'll have a little run.
Oh, we got all the updates.
Do you know your login?
I'm gonna try to remember it. I haven't done it in a
I know,
while.
Okay.
I
What's your last name?
Barbara?
Where did you come from? I just looked down and I thought, there you were.
Not this.
Like a genie.
What's your last name? Credit? It's Barbara, B-A-R, and then B-E-R-I-C-H. And B-N Barbara?
Yes.
So I'm going to change your password.
Wait, hold on. I think there's one more time.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. I'm only trying every possible.
What building? Morton.
1, 2, 3, 4 down. Perfect. There we go.
Okay, so, like I said just a little bit ago, your account went through this massive upgrade. It looks completely different. Hopefully it'll be easier. But what, I don't even know. Tell me what you guys have done with Plato. I know you use it for credit recovery. Do you say that you sign students up, that you give them, you do all of that, and then as a teacher, I monitor kind of what's happening? Okay. Because there's a little bit of a role
I'm a
difference.
guidance, so you set it up, you have to set it up.
Okay, all right. So, just to kind of,
So a lot of what I do is resetting. I know the final report.
okay. So let's just kind of go in, we only have an hour. Let's go in and look at where we can find everything that we typically have. So Plato is your content credit recovery piece. Teachers could use it as a resource if they wanted to. But the first thing that we need to make sure is that everybody has Plato courseware up at the top of their page. Now, as an account administrator, I can go in and I can see every single location that's in there. Programs now are something, they can still be your location, but if I had summer school going on, I can have a summer school program and put all of my kids in there. You don't have to, just something to fit. A program administrator, if I only see one of those drop downs when I hover over courseware, then that means that I'm a program administrator. The account administrator has to give permission for you to have access to that location. In the upgrade, everybody should have what they came with.
Oh, I should have access to that. I should have access to that. So
You need
as a
a-
program administrator, I don't have,
Hover over Plato courseware.
what do I need to do?
Just hover it over. Right here. You
Oh, I do have it all? Oh, I was looking at this courseware here.
Okay, so go ahead and go into your program that you have. Now, what I see here, if you remember what it used to look like, it was blue and yellow, kind of ugly. Some people liked it, I did not. But now we have this gray scale here where you can have 4 tabs. If I go and hover over courses, a program administrator has access to all 4 of those. Course catalog is where you're going to create your classes. And you're going to put teachers, attached teachers. My classes, if I have been attached, if I'm an instructor or a program administrator or account administrator, if I've been attached to a class, all I have to do is click into my classes and it's going to be there. Browse curriculum, that's where you can go in and kind of view what's happening, or not what's happening, but what the curriculum is all about. And then custom course builder is where you get to go in and create a custom course if you want to. Let's go in and just look at the browse curriculum first. So when I look at the browse curriculum, before we had to see this Plato content, my content, favorites, all of that. Now everything has been kind of jumbled into one course catalog, so it's all right there. There is a way that we can clean that up. But let's say that I wanted to look at English. And if I come down here and see English 10A,
I see modified on mine. Is that because there are 2 different?
somebody created it.
Okay.
So anything that's coming from us is going to say Plato course, English 10,
Right.
semester A. It's usually going to have a Plato in front of it. So when I see English reading ECA 2011-12, That means that somebody created that in your district.
Is there a difference between they created it and they put their own stuff in there, or
Could be.
cherry picked?
Could be. The newest is gonna be, so let me come up here to this.
Like I see the Plano course English 10 semester A.
Mhm.
That's you guys.
Yes.
That's the actual one.
Yep. So here's reading or English ECA 2011-12. English reading ECA 2011-12. It has one folder. I can see what's in that folder by clicking on that arrow and looking at it. And I can view the tutorial. So this right off the bat is telling me, just by the look of it, is that it's older content.
Right.
If I come down here and go into English 10, there's English 10A, there's 3 units. There's a tutorial and the mastery test. And I know just by looking at this is one of our new upgraded versions.
So I guess my question is, we want to go with the new upgraded instead of the ones that we created.
Yeah. Now, what I would do is, I might create a new ECA based off of this content, because it's just gonna be easier for students to maneuver through. It's not easier content, but there's just a lot more things that they can do with it. There's a dictionary put into the program. There's reading tools, so it's gonna read everything to the students. There's translation, so I think there's 13 different languages that it could translate into. And then we have the highlighter tool where students can start highlighting if they like. But this is where you can view. If you did decide that you wanted to create your own content, taking stuff from Plato's content, and if you wanted to take certain things out, once you take out modules, it's going to take out that content from the pre-test and the post-test and the end of semester test. So that still functions the exact same way. Anything that I push in to it is going to add that content to the pre and the post. So I hear a lot of our Indiana schools say that when they look at the algebra content, they usually create their own algebra content because they pull in more algebra 2 than what the national standards are. So they bring in algebra 2 and then that adds that content to the algebra course, the end of semester test.
This is based on Common Core. Generally.
Yes, right now it's based on Common Core and to the national standard. Now, if we start seeing that Indiana starts veering off far from the Common Core, and not just Common Core, but it's really Indiana Boston standards. We do have state specifics, like Texas has their own stuff, Virginia.
Right, Indiana's English is pretty much.
Yeah. So if we start seeing a bigger kind of gap between what Indiana and Common Core, and we'll follow suit. Study Island is pretty much aligned to, I don't know about AP. I know that we have it
No, I don't.
with the AP stuff, but. Okay. So this is how you can view just about anything that's in here. The content is still the same, so even if you didn't have the upgrade, you would have access to all of this content. This is your content, your everything. So what I'm going to do now, do you have any questions about the content and how to browse through the curriculum? Okay. So now I want to show you how you can create a class, because it is quite a bit different than what it was before. So you have to come up here to course catalog. And before, if you remember, if you've been in Plato, you had to create a class. You had to put your students in that class. And then you had to go create an assignment. and have your content, find your content. Then, give it to the students. Now you're gonna go find your content, create an assignment or a class name, and enroll students. So now, let's say that I wanted to do an algebra course. So up top here, because there's a lot of extras happening, I'm gonna just start typing in algebra and hit my enter key, and anything that has algebra in it, so it makes that course catalog at least a little easier to manage. And I would suggest sometimes cleaning it up, but it's not so crazy. It might still be crazy, but not as crazy. So when I go there, I'm going to just come down here to our Plato. Everything else I can see is a custom course because it tells me my course type. Is it a custom course? Here they are. If I know that I don't even want to deal with a custom course, I'm going to undo that check mark right here. So now I just have my Plato courses. So this is a filter, basically right here to help you make things a little bit more manageable. And I don't have any classes that are created, but what this is going to do is I see Algebra 1 Semester A version 5. So I am going to assign all of that to my students. And I can click on it, and I'm going to see that there's this plus button over here on the right. So this is, I'm going to add a new class. So when I click on that plus button, it opens this up and I create my class name. It's semester A and semester 1. Semester B and semester 2. So does that make sense so far? Okay. I have my start date, I have my end date. If I want to change that, I just click in my field. If I want to say, yep, I'm going to lock it after the 22nd, I can say I'm going to lock it. Students won't have access to it. Then you will want to add your instructors. So over here on the right where it says instructor, just start typing in your last name. Your name should appear, and then you can select your name. I'm not in there, so I have to select someone else. And then you can click on Save and Close.
So we can lock it, and it's past at 5:30.
Yes. Yep, and so if you lock it, the student will still see it on their page, but they just won't be able to access it. It'll be grayed out. And it will also have a due date on there for them. You click Save and Close. Did you already save it? Okay. So,
I think yours wasn't updated.
okay. All right. So here's my date. So now what's going to happen is I have to think. can go in and I can add my students. So to do that, I'm going to select over here on the left, this little button area, select the class. There's an actions up here at the top. And I'm going to click on enroll learners. Then you'll be able to select the learners. And then there is an enrolled select learners at the top of the page right here.
I'm sorry, could you go over that one again? We hit the button on the left
Mm-hmm.
for the class, and then what goes there? Enrollment?
Okay, hold on. Where's my algebra? Oh, I lost algebra. Yes.
Maybe I'm going to the video.
Okay, so here's my class count. Oh, so when I'm here, now I have to click on my pencil. Nope, hold on, I lied. This is too big, I can't see. Hold on. Okay, so to add students, do you see this little button on the left? There is now an action at the top. There's enroll learners.
I said it was successful.
We lost it. Go ahead, Mike.
What do you want to do? So I'm gonna see.
Yeah. Okay, so did you enroll a learner? Okay.
Click to transfer the student to another class.
But it has to be transferred into another class, it has to be the same content. It's not, they're in English and rather than math. Okay, no, that's okay. So we created a class, we browsed curriculum, we created a class, we enrolled students. Now, let's say that there were things that I did not want my students to do, or I wanted to manage my students. So let's go back to our home, just so we can find it. And I want to show you how you can find the learners that are in your class. So go down here and click on My Classes. Now nothing pops up for me, but so I have to go in anyway. But do you have a class that shows up, the class that you just created? If it doesn't show up, then double check and make sure that you added yourself as an instructor. Because if you added yourself as an instructor, that's how it's going to come up as My Class. So since I'm not in there, I'm going to go find it this way. So when we're here, now you can click on this magnifying glass over on the right under Quick Actions. And this is where it'll take you to your class summary. You have enrolled learners and then class curriculum. Click on the enrolled learners. And from here, you can run 3 quick reports for your student. Learner progress, graphic learner, detailed score report. If you were ever in PLATO before, you know that just running one report took about 5 different clicks to get there. Under quick actions, you can go right to that individual student information. This is where if you needed to unlock a unit test or lock a test, you would click over here on the actions. You can set it locked or hidden. Click on the pencil. Now, when you work with students, do you have students that, do you change their, how many times they can go through, a tutorial to unlock the mastery test? Or is that set it?
Well, they would just come through and ask, every test is 7. That's the way I was.
Is that the unit test or mastery test?
The unit.
Okay. Okay. There's a class curriculum button that we can go back and click on right here. All the way up at the top. Class curriculum. And this is where I can say I want my students to go through, and they have the ability to unlock the mastery test. So if I come back up here, hold on here. So in the course structure, everything's set up at a semester. Algebra 1A is the course title, and they have all these different units. There's a unit pre-test, a unit post-test, and end of semester test. When they take the pre-test, it will exempt them out of all of these modules that they were able to exempt out of. Then they would have to go in and do the module, which includes the tutorial and the mastery test.
For that, that's only for students that do credit recovery, right? So if a student is a first time taking it, which it's special circumstances with those, it's far and few between, they have to go through that.
Yes, and you have the ability now to just hide the pre-test for those students. So if somebody does need to do it for the first time, you can create a class, say hide all pre-tests, and then they have to go through everything.
Okay.
It doesn't give them that option. So then we have, for the tutorials and mastery tests, tutorials are where students are going through learning the content, or a teacher teaches it to them normal, and then they can go through the tutorial if they need extra support. The mastery test is typically 10 questions. Plato is looking for 80% mastery. If they don't get the 80%, and I set a limit back here as like 3, then that moves this. Whoops. Then for this mastery test, if they get a 70, they go back through the tutorial and it will unlock it for them on their own. The post-test, if I lock it as an instructor, then I always have to unlock it for my class. So this can be done by the student. If it's locked, the post-test is locked, an adult has to unlock it for them.
The mastery test is a final, correct?
The mastery tests are just, so the very first module in algebra, the very first module in algebra is adding monomials. So they go through the module of adding monomials, the tutorial, and then the mastery test is just over 10 questions over adding monomials. The next module is subtracting monomials. They go through the tutorial, learn how to subtract, they have the 10 questions on, for the mastery test on subtracting monomials. The post-test is going to be every module that was in the first unit, and then the end of semester test is over all of the units within that course.
So is the unit post-test, are those automatically locked? Or do you have to go in there and set the
No,
action?
everything's wide open.
So when you assign a student to the course, you have to physically go in there, go where you showed us to the actions and lock
Mhm.
the
No.
post-test?
Yes, yes and no. So I can do that globally. So if I'm setting this up, I'm going to expand off. Here's unit 1. So if we go back to our class curriculum, expand off, this is where a lot of schools will say, you know what, I don't want my students to do the graded discussions or the Dropbox activities. So you can hide this. Nice and easy. This is where you would hide that pre-test as well that I was talking about earlier. You can just go in there and hide it.
So if it's hidden, they can't even get to it, and then you can unhide it
Yep,
when
but,
it's time for them to take it?
yep, but I would recommend to lock the post-test, because if you hide it, they don't know They don't know, they should know that they have to do it, but they're not gonna see it. Nothing is gonna prompt them to take the post test.
Oh, I understand. Well, but this hides it. Is there a way to globally lock it?
Not yet. So right now, if I come in here and
Did you say not yet, or?
yes.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
okay.
I can globally lock the post test. I cannot mass globally lock all of the post tests in one click like you can hide. Yep. So the thing that drives me crazy is that on Unit 1 post test, let's say that I wanted to lock that for everybody. I click on it and it thinks that I want to view it just because it has the word view next to it.
Correct.
I hate it. So I have to close out of that and it still has to stay blue right here and I click on lock. Is that a good thing?
That's what I clicked
Just
on.
close out of that.
Close it?
Yep. And now click lock in the upper right hand corner.
Oh, I see.
Yep. Because it has that
Because you have to click
view.
on it, I get it.
Yep. There's no way to not get it to not open.
So the first time users, let's say they have never taken the class,
Mhm.
those you wanna lock, you wanna hide the pretest,
Mhm.
because they've never taken the class. If the student has taken the class for credit recovery, those kids should have the pretest.
Mhm.
Is that-
Yep.
So, just getting this straight. So this algebra class, put my learners in there, put 30 kids in there. So and then I can go in here and I can click on each unit post test and lock them individually, but it will lock for everybody.
Mhm.
And also the end of semester tests. So the end of semester tests are not automatically locked either? Everything's automatically open? Yeah, that takes a lot of time.
It
Is that
does.
feedback you get from people who use Plato?
Yeah. So what I want to tell you,
Because it would make sense to
I know.
lock those.
And so what I want you to do, and I will do the same, I do it every time. There's a C hive up at the top of the screen. If you click on C hive, that goes right to our development team. And make sure that you put in there, this is too time consuming for teachers. Put it in there, don't say Jackie Weber.
I wasn't going to, but I let you tell me
No,
your name.
I know. But Jackie Daly, I think, pretty sure she's fabulous. But just make, because that's what they look for. They look for things that are gonna make it easier for teachers and administrators. And they say that they care what I have to say, but they don't care about what I have to say. But they do wanna hear it from you guys.
Yeah, because that does make, I mean, if we all universally are on the test,
Yep,
they should all just come automatically locked.
I
It's like
agree.
adding a step.
I agree.
It's unnecessary.
I agree. And I think when Plato first started, and it's still a mastery product, and we kind of pride ourselves in giving everybody the ability to customize everything the way that it's going to work for you. Because sometimes some schools, all the schools that I work with, wants to have them locked. But I was with a school the other day, and they were an Indiana school, and they said, we don't do that. We just let kids go in. So then you kind of have to, from a company standpoint, think, if we lock it for them, then it's going to be more, even more, it's going to be the same clicks
Right.
the other way as well. So I get it.
Right.
I totally get it. What I would like to see them do is just create a
Okay,
button.
that makes sense, yeah.
Create a button that says lock all post tests.
Check box. Yep.
So if I go here and I've locked all the post tests,
Make sure you save your changes. So right up here at the top of the screen, yeah. It does not ask you, are you sure you want to leave this page? Yeah.
so whenever I,
Absolutely, absolutely, because I've done that so many times when I'm working with somebody, trying to clean up their account or something, and I forget, and I just went through my computer.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you.
so when I prescribe this class, since I have locked all of the post tests, every time I prescribe or I put a student in that class, those post tests are already locked.
Yeah, you don't have to go back in and
That's crazy.
go back in for each individual student anymore.
So my mastery test is locked, my post tests are locked.
Mhm.
So that also a recovery for those students that are using it as recovery, and then lock my street test.
Yep, so you could, depending on how many students are gonna come in that need it the first time, it might just be easier for you to say, okay, you know, Johnny, let me go in and just hide your pre-test individually for you. Or if you have a lot of students like that, then you can go into the course catalog and maybe down here, you know, maybe this one's gonna be my credit recovery. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna create another class and then, you know, create that as my initial credit, algebra.
Or you have this one for the kids that have never taken.
Yep,
This one for
and
the
then
kids
go
that
make
have.
those parameters.
I like that. So what if I wanted to change this title, how would I go back in here to do that?
You're gonna go into course catalog. Click on course catalog, find that class. And you would click on the class, the course. You're looking for the course, look for the content. So if it was Algebra 1 Semester A, it's gonna be our Plato course, right? So you haven't called it anything yet. That's the class name. That's the class name. Okay, go to my classes. Let's see what. You can't.
What added the name?
You have to go to the course. So do you see, so this is the content. So you're creating a class that's attached to this content. So you have to find your content.
How do I remove that?
Go to the course catalog. Go in and type in algebra. And then take out the custom courses. I don't know which one you want to. Okay. So then click on your cursor. So you have to find the course
Yes.
that you created an assignment under.
Oh, yeah.
And then you
About
publish it.
15, at least.
Yeah.
create a class, put students in. Did you find it? Did it save it? Oh.
Your- It says, limit attempts to unlock mastery tests. Mean, what does that mean exactly? So if I have the mass,
So the system's looking for 8% to get a gold star and build in level for the student.
right,
If I don't get 8% and you told me as a teacher that I need to go back through, keep working until I get 8%, then what happens is that as soon as I either log into the master test, start it, complete it, whatever, it's gonna log. So I can go through the tutorial, I have to at least go through it one time, from beginning to end, to unlock, with a mastery test.
okay,
Because it's unlocked initially.
right.
So your typical kid, I would have been teaching, where I would have gone right to the mastery test, is the first
But
one.
that's what we're talking about, that's what we're gonna allow. Right?
No, you're gonna log the post-unit
Oh,
test.
the post units is, okay. Oh, I
Think
get
of the
it.
mastery
Yeah, I get
test
it,
as
I
a
get it.
homework. Think of the mastery test as homework.
I understand it, yep.
So instruction, homework, they can take this, as many times as you want.
So if I put, I get it, so if I put limited attempts of mass, unlike mastery tests, so they try to do that first, so if they do that twice, they score 40 and 30, then I say, then do they
The
enforce
teacher
this
has to
now?
unlock.
Okay,
If it
so,
locks and they wanna do it again, then they
Teacher
have
has
to
to
go through the tutorial. The tutorial will unlock it.
that makes sense, okay. So they're basically guessing without having to,
Yeah.
I understand that.
So all of these APs.
The
But
thing
even,
is, that
so,
they need to know is that all of that content that's gonna be in those master tests will be in the post-unit
right.
test.
So you're saying if I said it's a, whatever, 3 attempts, they don't get it, it locks them out, and let's say they're on some spring break, if they go through the whole tutorial, it will automatically unlock for them, or do I have to physically unlock it?
So the first time, I go right to the mastery test,
Tomorrow's probably.
and I get 40%, I need to go back through it again. I have to go back through the tutorial
Before you
completely,
go the second time.
it will go to the second time.
Ah, I get it.
So then I don't do well again, I just now have to click into the tutorial, and that will unlock the mastery test.
Okay. Okay.
So I've gone through it 3 times, but I've gone through the tutorial
At least
twice.
twice.
And I had to go through it at least 1 time all the way to get it unlocked. So they might want to try to cheat the system.
Right,
We'll give them that.
right.
But if they don't do well, they have to go back through the tutorial to get it done.
And then we can monitor if they've gone through the tutorial, right? Can we monitor more than, like, the number of times they've gone through?
Yep. Yep. So then if I'm a teacher, I might say, okay, I will unlock that for you, but show me the notes that you took on that, and I'll unlock it.
We used to supply them certain color notebooks, like just those cheap 50-cent notebooks. If you don't have it, keep it there depending on.
What time's this session over with?
140, right? Is it 140?
Is it an hour
It's an hour
session?
session.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Because they
It's
threw
going
us
so
off.
well.
I don't know what it is over.
This is so much simpler than, I feel like there's not as
Now,
many,
what do
like,
you
things to go
do?
through. Nothing currently. I did have access for a brief period of time, and I was able to like fill reports
Uh-huh,
or enroll independent students.
okay.
But then she, I think she just took over for the rest of the year to make sure everything was moving.
Okay.
So next year, I think we're gonna go back to independent and refresh that, right?
I didn't hear what you're saying, I'm sorry.
She had just asked what our thing was. I said for a brief window, I was working with independent students.
Oh, okay.
So, and then I think we're still trying to figure out what next year has in store. for her.
Okay.
As a lead, she'll be overseeing everything, and then I think she's deciding what we'll be able to do. I think it's most of the unlocking and stuff will be Lou.
Okay. So then, for your classroom, you would probably use these things called flex assignments. So if you had teachers that wanted to start using this as a resource or, you know, something else, there's these things called flex assignments up here. And so, I must have been in here at some point. I don't know. But before, I could go in and I could say I wanted to assign just a module.
These are,
Huh?
all right.
So to create a flex class, so the first thing that I have to do is I have to create a flex class. I'm going to come up here to take a tour just so you can kind of see. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to create a flex class. We're going to put our students in. It's kind of like the old version. And then once I say, so then I might say I want to do adding monomials. I teach my students adding monomials, do everything I typically would do. And then this is something that maybe I want them to do for homework. Or if you have an e-learning day. Or if you have a snow day. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking of, snow days.
Yeah, so if you had a snow day, then what I can do is I'm going to create my flex class up here. Flex assignments are right here. Close out of that. So this is going to be maybe my algebra. Here's one. If, you know, then I have to find myself as an instructor. So I have to go log in to my demo account. So I create a class. I can add my instructors. I add my learners. So I can start typing in last names. I can start looking, if I already have a class, I could go to that class and all of my students from that class will appear. And I just have to add them. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So I have Sally Sunshine, who's in my class. So I create my flex class, and now I have to go in and have my assignment. There we go. This is why you don't name everything the same thing. 5,000 algebra, here. So then I can click on that assignment, and I'm going to create, or I can click on that class and create an assignment. From here, I just want to jump down real quick. Jump down to the middle of my page. This is where I can search by standard. So if I know the standards, and mine are going to pull up from Minnesota, but you'll be able to pull up from Indiana standards. And I could either say, you know what, I want to pull in standards and start typing in. But you should be able to start typing in your standard, and any data that has to do, any content that has to do with that standard, if you scroll down, is going to pop up.
Oh, yeah, it just said grade levels. Can you put it?
Did you find it? Yep, so when you select it,
Indiana academic standards old. How old are they?
old is before we change.
So it's different for each, is what, so 14 was English, was it 16 for math or science? It changes each year, because as they adopt new textbooks, they're changing the standards and that.
So when are these, how old are those standards?
I'll have to double check.
It says Indiana Academic Standards underscore old. Or no.
Okay, let me double check.
I mean, I'm sure she would love it. You know, you see something you love and then you gotta get someone else to love it, you know, so now I gotta try to teach them. It is.
The other thing that I can do is I can come in here and say I wanted to search by my subject. And I can say, here's I want my courses, let me go down to algebra,
Okay.
wherever that is.
So just after half. Okay, thank you.
So then if I wanted to, I could bring over, here's adding monomials, click on it, drag it over until I see a green check mark. It has to hit the top. The top there, there's my green check, drop it in. Bring my next thing over, drop it. It didn't drop. There it is. What I can do from here is I can say I want to add a pre-test and a post-test. So I can even almost make that a little mini lesson if I wanted to. So the flex assignment is a way that you can be flexible. You don't have to assign the whole entire content. If I wanted to just do the adding monomials, then I could definitely do that, assign that to my students, especially if it's a snow day.
So there's only, oh, I see.
You gotta drop it when it
You
gets
have
to
to put the arrow exactly.
Yes.
I'll have to see how I wrote that one.
Okay, you go for it. You do it.
Well, you can even put a pre and post test.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, what's going to
Yeah.
Just assessing just those standards, that's what we want to focus on.
Yep. So I'm a former special needs student, a teacher, since probably a student. I would have used this to monitor my IEP goals for
Right.
my kids.
Sure.
So if I'm teaching AP, I
Right.
could go in here and find their specific standards
Right.
and do the exact same thing. If these are my tier 2 kids, tier 3 kids, my tier kids that I know that I'm working with, or if they're whatever, and I know this is what they have to work on.
Right.
I'm gonna make their own individual place here. Study group, back to school.
Right. So the flex class would be, like you said, a study group.
Yep.
And it can be fluid as well. Doesn't necessarily have to.
Yep, absolutely. And the nice part about this is that it's going to, on my account, I have a grade tracker, but you'll have a grade report, and that'll pull those grades into the grade report, so it's gonna tell you how they're doing grade-wise. So then also, from the flex assignment, oh God. Find what it actually has. Sorry, so if I wanted to see how my student was doing, then everything that they're assigned is going to turn into these little bubbles. I can click on each of those bubbles and it's going to open up. So here's a discussion. Yeah, here's a discussion that I could score if I wanted to. Say that that's complete, okay. And then it turns that, so when they complete it, it's going to be how you're going to be able to monitor what's happening really quickly. Because if you're going in through flex assignment, nothing's going to register over here under courseware for you. Your report and everything that you want is going to be under flex assignment. Does that make sense? So we're giving you the ability, so here's that whole module, basically, you have the tutorial, the application, here's the test, there's an offline activity. But if you wanted to monitor anything that's in there or change the grade or the score, this is how you're going to be able to monitor and track that. No, that's fine. Absolutely.
All of our teachers has the ability to do this, right? They can just-
Yep. Yes, they do. So all of your teachers also have the ability to say, okay, you know what, I don't feel like I want to find anything from this, but they can go in and browse the curriculum. They can put a tutorial up on the board, they can find something. So use that as an extra resource instead of having to go and find something online. Just look at Play-Doh and it's, see if it's there. But yeah, they all have the ability to do this right now.
Is the setup similar to the way Study Island is set up for them to assign stuff in Study Island, or isn't that Edmentum too?
It is, but they're two different products. Yes. So they're two different processes on assigning. I look at Play-Doh as your content piece to help support what the teachers are doing in the classroom. Study Island can do the same thing, but I would almost I see Study Island as your formative assessment tool, where, let's double check to make sure that they're understanding what we're teaching them. Okay.
So Study Island is a formative assessment tool?
Study Island is a formative.
Then why would we use it in the BA?
This is,
Oh, you don't, you should.
No, you should be, Study Island works with.
Good afternoon. We should be finishing up our session and getting to our next session. That begins in 8 minutes now.
you're talking skills navigator and study on overlap. Yeah, not
that?
That was basically, you're
Oh, we're
done.
done?
We're done.
That is
Okay.
a WA assessment piece.
So if you wanted
This
to
is-
fill out a whole other
This is
survey.
high school.